In this episode, we go back behind the scenes. This is Aidan Rees-Heron and you're watching Property Geek TV episode 50. We finally made it to halfway to 100. Last week we tried something a little bit different and the feedback that I've got from people has been really good, that they enjoyed it and they wanted to see more of it. So last week we went behind the scenes at one of our partners' days where Alan was covering a variety of different topics. So I've got some more footage of that for you today. But if you want to send me your feedback, your comments, Leo, maybe you can make it pop up somewhere here, but send me an email at aidan@discoveryhub.co.uk. Let me know what you think. If you're enjoying these sessions, these episodes, what you want to see more of. If you've got any questions, email them to me and let me know. I'm always happy to hear from you. And without further ado, I'm going to pass back over to Alan. We're going to take you back behind the scenes where Alan is talking about drainage on sites. Enjoy.
Oh, drainage, yeah. I thought you said an electric drain. No, that's new on me. So drainage in this one, yeah, again, so how would you tell if there was drainage in or near the site? What would be the things you'd be looking for? Manhole covers, yeah, simple as that. How can you tell whether they're combined or separate? By combined separate, I mean, so combined takes two types of water. There is foul, and then there is water that comes from the surface. So it's fallen from the sky, hits the roof, goes down a drain pipe, that goes somewhere. Flush the toilet, wash your hands, that water goes somewhere. So it's like, how does that all come together? So in historically we had one system. It was combined, so all the water. So if you like, dark water and grey water is kind of all went together and all went into the one sewage system. Everything, off it goes. Now, and for the last 20 years, we've had predominantly separate sewage systems where we can get them. So we have a system that takes surface water and a system that takes foul water, and they're designed totally differently. But how would you know whether it was a surface water or whether it was a combined or a separate sewage system? Any thoughts?
Well, if you have a new site,
Yep.
does it depend? Because probably the new site has to build it, to do it. And if it has to do it, then it will do the new way, right?
Well, that's one way of looking at it, absolutely, and that's a good signal. Sorry.
Make sure you repeat what's said.
Okay, sorry, Roberto, look at this. Okay, so what Mylene had said there was, because there's a development next door, then they would have had to comply with new regulations. So that's a good signal. What if they didn't have a new site next door? How else would you tell? I think you said it, Leslie. So you typically see separate covers on the street, and you'll see one that will have an F on it, probably, of S on it, or SW and FW will be fairly obvious. And again, all these things that you look at all help you, but it all help you design.
You actually go and look.
Yeah. Well, or you get that information from the utility company. So either way, you need to gather the information because it's the design of the. And everything it doesn't matter again whether it's commercial, whether it is conversion of an existing building is slightly different, or new build. It all starts with levels, drainage, roads. S is for surface, F is for foul. And you see, there are different things on them. The key thing is some of the older ductile iron covers actually don't have a notifier on them, but you would typically see two sitting side by side. Hung.
If we don't see these covers, can we ring up the council and find out?
Yeah. So, good question. So if you don't see the covers, what does that mean? So it means one of two things. You're not looking hard enough,
Yeah.
is one.
That could be that.
or it's a private drainage system. And if it's a private drainage system, that's a different thing. You typically find that out in the countryside. Don't find it, you won't find it in any major city, for sure, or town. In fact, no, it's not. I was thinking it was the next site, but it's not. It's the other one we looked at. So a private drainage system is effectively where you have to deal with all the surface water and foul water in your development. So it can't go out into the public sewer. You've got to deal with it privately. So that's pretty interesting in terms of how you design. Do you want me to talk about that just now, time-wise, as we're talking about it? Just because it might take 5-10 minutes. So basically, you capture you separate systems. You effectively have a mini sewage plant that you put on site. So it's a tank. The tank is designed to, without getting too kind of gross about the whole thing, it's designed to separate solids from the actual water, and then it treats it. So a lot of these things, apparently, when it comes out the other end of the tank, you could turn the tap on and drink the water. I've heard it said that that's what you can do, but I've never thought of trying it, strangely enough. But then because that water has been treated, it's been cleaned. For example, not where you live. See in the Kinross area? So localised question. So Loch Leven area, anywhere there's a kind of main body of water, for example, you've got to strip every single phosphate out of the water, and you've got to be able to show that before you're allowed to flush a single toilet. Right. Yeah, okay. So it will. So in a commercial scale, that's a good example. So river running through or adjacent to town, that's typically where all the foul and surface water ends up. So one thing that we get quite a lot in England, particularly, it doesn't happen so much in Scotland. God knows how, because we get a hell of a lot more rain, but we didn't get a lot of flooding. And yet you look on the telly and you see all these incidences of flooding up sort of northwest. Why does that happen, do you think? It's not that it rains more there than it rains in Scotland, does it?
Runoff, it's not soaking away.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Runoff, it's not soaking away.
Runoff, it's not soaking away. No, I think the soil there is pretty much similar to the soil here. Throughout the country, it varies in bits, but not massively. If you've got something that's really, really clay, but that's not where the flooding's occurring. So it is. So yeah, it's one of these things you either know or you don't know. But so flooding per se is caused not by the volume of water, but by the volume of water that's discharged quickly. So if you think about water in it, or water hitting the ground in its natural state, hits the grass, the soil itself allows it to percolate away and go into the water course eventually. If you think about water that goes through a pipe, where there's no friction, there's nothing in the way, it kind of straight out, and so you get that massive surge of water, and that's what causes flooding. And so we now have to design systems. Again, doesn't matter what kind of development you're doing, there is a system that needs to be designed, not by you guys. You don't have to work any of this out. Just so you know, because the more you know about these things, the more you can engage the professionals that you're dealing with it properly, and have a better rapport. So you've got to store water on site. So one of the things that we were looking at here on this one, can you just shuffle this one up a wee bit, Eduardo? On this site that's already built, this area here, so in there it's an open space. You can see it's been designed into the planning of the new site here. Probably very hard for us to tell on site, other than the fact there are a couple of telltale signs, because there's manholes dotted all over the place, and if you actually sit and think about how they would drain it, or store it, then that design was probably accurate enough. You have to store water underground and then release it at a set rate of litres per second. So in other words, you prevent all the water hitting at once, and you prevent the flooding. But that then means that you've got to create storage. So in a lot of places you go around and you see these developments and you think, oh, there's a nice little pond that they've made as part of the development. So it's a pond, yes, but it's a pond, no. It's a retention basin. So the water comes in at a low level, and it seeps out at a high level. So you just look at the design of it. and how it's all put together. Anyway, don't want to overwhelm you with that kind of stuff, but I already have, so we'll move on.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode, that behind the scenes footage again. I think I've got one more of those lined up for you next week. So stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and as always, you can always send me an email, aidan@discoveryhub.co.uk. Let me know what you think. Have you got any questions that you want answering about property investment, property development, or property maintenance? And what would you like to see more of on these shows?